My bride-to-be texted me a kiss photo with my brother 7 days before our wedding, writing, "Change of plans, he's my groom now." I met Sophia at my cousin's wine tasting event 2 years ago, and she immediately caught my attention with her sophisticated knowledge of contemporary art and her elegant way of discussing gallery exhibitions. I'm a software engineer in Portland, 29 years old, making decent money developing applications for mid-sized companies, and I'd never met anyone quite like her. Sophia worked as a curator at a trendy downtown art gallery, always dressed impeccably, and had this way of making everyone around her feel like they were part of something culturally significant. Our first few dates were intoxicating. She'd guide me through gallery openings, explaining the deeper meanings behind abstract installations while sipping expensive wine that somehow always ended up on my tab. I didn't mind covering the costs initially because I was genuinely impressed by her sophistication and the way she elevated every experience we shared together. She had exquisite taste in everything from restaurants to coffee shops, always knowing the perfect spot for brunch or the most Instagram-worthy cocktail lounge in the Pearl District. What I interpreted as refined preferences, I later realized were expensive habits that she expected others to fund. She'd order the most expensive items on any menu, insist on premium everything from skincare products to organic groceries, and had an uncanny ability to forget her wallet whenever a bill arrived. Her apartment was filled with designer furniture, original artwork, and luxury items that seemed far beyond what a gallery curator's salary could reasonably support, but I assumed she came from money or had excellent financial management skills that I lacked. When she began staying over at my downtown loft more frequently, she'd arrive with increasingly expensive purchases, cashmere throws, imported candles, artisanal kitchen gadgets that cost more than my monthly grocery budget. "I saw this and thought it would be perfect for your place," she'd say, then later mention that her credit card was maxed out and could I help with the payment just this once. My younger brother Connor, a charismatic real estate agent with natural instincts about people's motivations, started raising concerns about Sophia's behavior during family gatherings. "Something feels off about how she operates, Alex," he told me after our parents' anniversary dinner where Sophia had spent the entire evening photographing her outfit and posting Instagram stories instead of engaging with our family. "She seems more interested in the lifestyle you can provide than actually getting to know who you are as a person." I dismissed his warnings as sibling rivalry, assuming Connor was jealous of my relationship success since he'd been single for several months after his own complicated breakup. Within 8 months of dating, Sophia had gradually moved most of her belongings into my loft, claiming her lease was ending early due to a difficult landlord situation and promising it would be temporary until she found her own place. Instead of looking for apartments, she began redecorating my space with expensive furniture pieces, designer lighting fixtures, and original artwork that she'd charged to my credit cards after emotional conversations about how we were building our life together and shouldn't I want our home to reflect our shared aesthetic vision. After Sophia officially moved in, she announced that she was quitting her gallery position, claiming the work environment had become toxic and her supervisor was undermining her curatorial vision with increasingly unreasonable demands. "I need to find something that actually values my expertise," she explained while scrolling through luxury vacation posts on Instagram instead of job listings, "and I can't make good career decisions when I'm stressed about paying bills every month." I assured her that I could support us both temporarily while she found the right opportunity, thinking a few weeks of financial assistance would help her transition into a better position that matched her talents and ambitions. Those few weeks stretched into months as Sophia developed a daily routine that consisted primarily of online shopping sessions, expensive beauty appointments, and elaborate self-care rituals that she documented extensively on social media. She'd spend entire afternoons at high-end spas getting facials, massages, and specialized treatments that cost more than most people's weekly salary, then post Instagram stories about investing in herself and living authentically, while I worked 60-hour weeks debugging complex software applications and managing multiple client projects to cover our mounting expenses. When I suggested she might contribute to household costs or at least apply for jobs, Sophia would become emotional and accuse me of not supporting her during this vulnerable transition period in her career. "I thought you believed in me," she'd say through calculated tears, but you're just like every other man who sees women as financial burdens instead of partners who deserve investment and patience. Her manipulation tactics were subtle but effective, making me feel guilty for questioning her spending habits or suggesting she contribute more than her presence to our relationship. I'd end up apologizing for being insensitive and promising to be more supportive while she ordered another expensive skincare kit or booked another spa appointment that would appear on my credit card statement. During this time, Sophia began showing unusual interest in my cryptocurrency investments and software consulting side business, asking detailed questions about my portfolio strategies, client contracts, and revenue streams with what seemed like genuine curiosity about my professional success. She'd sit beside me while I worked on freelance projects, bringing me coffee and asking thoughtful questions about my development processes, database architecture, and client management systems that made me feel appreciated and understood. I was impressed that she wanted to learn about my work and thought her questions demonstrated her commitment to understanding the technical aspects of my career that funded our comfortable lifestyle. What I didn't realize was that Sophia was systematically gathering information about my business operations, client relationships, and investment strategies while appearing to be a supportive girlfriend who valued my professional expertise. She also began cultivating a closer friendship with Connor, inviting him over for elaborate dinner parties where she'd cook expensive meals and create opportunities for them to discuss real estate investments, market trends, and family financial planning. "I want to understand how your family approaches business," she told me when I commented on their frequent conversations, "and Connor has such interesting insights about property markets and investment opportunities that could help us make smarter financial decisions together." Sophia escalated her marriage campaign 6 months after moving in, constantly showing me engagement ring designs on her phone and creating elaborate Pinterest boards filled with wedding venues, dress styles, and honeymoon destinations that she discussed with the enthusiasm of someone planning an actual event rather than a hypothetical future. She'd leave browser tabs open on my laptop displaying diamond rings from high-end jewelry stores, strategically place bridal magazines around the loft, and drop increasingly obvious hints during conversations with both our families about wanting to make things official and start planning our forever together. Her pressure tactics became more sophisticated as she began inviting married couples over for dinner parties where she'd steer conversations toward engagement stories, wedding planning advice, and the importance of commitment in long-term relationships while giving me meaningful looks across the table. When I finally proposed during a romantic weekend getaway to wine country, presenting her with a $6,200 princess cut solitaire that had taken me 3 months to save for, Sophia's initial reaction wasn't joy or excitement but immediate criticism of the diamond's size and setting quality. "It's beautiful, Alex, but I was hoping for something a little more substantial," she said while examining the ring under the restaurant's lighting, "especially considering your software salary and how well your consulting business has been doing lately." I felt deflated that my carefully planned proposal and significant financial investment wasn't meeting her expectations, but I assured her we could upgrade the ring later if she wanted something different. Wedding planning immediately became a financial nightmare as Sophia chose the most expensive options for every single detail, from the $12,000 venue rental at a historic mansion to the $3,500 designer dress she ordered without trying on less expensive alternatives. She booked a $4,200 photography package with an award-winning photographer, insisted on premium flowers that cost $2,800, selected a menu that ran $185 per person, and hired a string quartet for $1,500 despite our original budget discussions about keeping costs reasonable. Every time I expressed concern about our rapidly escalating expenses, Sophia would remind me that weddings were once-in-a-lifetime events that deserved proper investment and shouldn't I want our special day to reflect the success we'd achieved together. The total wedding cost approached $45,000, nearly draining my emergency savings and requiring me to take on additional freelance projects to cover the deposits and vendor payments that Sophia scheduled without consulting our budget spreadsheet. During this intense planning period, Connor began acting strangely around both of us, making cryptic comments about me rushing into major life decisions, while simultaneously offering to help with wedding logistics and vendor negotiations in ways that seemed overly involved for a groomsman. He'd show up at our loft unannounced to discuss ceremony details with Sophia, spend long phone conversations with her about catering options and venue layouts, and volunteer to handle vendor communications that I assumed was brotherly support but seemed unusually invested in wedding planning specifics. "Connor's been so helpful with everything," Sophia would tell me after their private planning sessions. "He really understands the importance of making our day perfect and has such great ideas about how to manage all these vendors and coordinate the timeline efficiently." 7 days before our wedding, I was working late at my home office debugging a critical software application for a major client whose system had crashed during peak business hours, costing them thousands in revenue while I frantically traced through database queries and server configurations to identify the source of their technical disaster. My phone buzzed with what I assumed was another work-related message, but instead found a photo from Sophia showing her in her $3,500 wedding dress passionately kissing Connor at our expensive venue, with a message that read, "Change of plans, he's your groom now," followed immediately by additional texts mocking my dedication to work over romance. "Connor knows how to have fun and live in the moment instead of being buried in code all day," she wrote. "He actually pays attention to me instead of treating me like background noise while you obsess over your precious computer screens and client deadlines." I stared at my phone screen for several long minutes, processing the image of my fiancé and brother embracing in the space I'd paid $12,000 to reserve, wearing the dress I'd financed, celebrating their betrayal in the venue where we were supposed to exchange vows in exactly 1 week. Instead of calling them or rushing to confront the situation, I responded with heart emojis and a simple "congratulations." Before setting my phone aside and returning to my client's emergency, my mind already calculating the full scope of what Connor and Sophia had accomplished together. While fixing database corruption errors and restoring backup files, I realized that Connor had been present for numerous conversations about my cryptocurrency investments, client contracts, and business banking information during family dinners and casual visits to my loft over the past year. He'd listened carefully when I discussed trading strategies, portfolio diversification, and the substantial profits I'd made from early investments in various digital currencies, always asking thoughtful follow-up questions that I'd interpreted as brotherly interest in my financial success. Sophia had systematically gathered information about my freelance consulting clients, their payment schedules, banking details, and project timelines through her seemingly supportive questions about my work, creating a comprehensive understanding of my income streams and business operations that she could share with Connor. After completing the emergency software repair and ensuring my client's systems were stable, I spent the rest of the night conducting detective work through bank statements, trading platform records, and credit card transactions, discovering a pattern of unauthorized activity that revealed the true extent of their conspiracy. Connor had been making parallel cryptocurrency trades using information about my investment strategies, timing his purchases and sales to mirror my successful transactions while avoiding the risks of independent research and market analysis. Bank records showed that Sophia had been systematically draining our joint wedding account, originally funded with $31,000 of my savings, for personal shopping sprees, luxury spa treatments, and monthly rent payments for a secret apartment across town where she'd apparently been living with Connor for months. Phone records from our shared account revealed hundreds of calls and text messages between Connor and Sophia dating back 8 months, indicating their relationship had begun shortly after she moved into my loft and had access to detailed information about my financial situation, business clients, and investment portfolios. Instead of confronting them directly or creating dramatic scenes that would only provide them with entertainment, I contacted my attorney first thing Monday morning and began methodically documenting every aspect of their financial fraud with the systematic approach I used for debugging complex software problems. My lawyer recommended hiring a forensic accountant who specialized in financial crimes, and within 3 days we'd uncovered evidence that Connor had stolen approximately $28,000 through unauthorized cryptocurrency trades using my account credentials and investment strategy information he'd gathered during family gatherings and private conversations with Sophia. Bank records revealed that Sophia had diverted the entire $31,000 wedding fund for personal expenses including luxury shopping sprees at high-end boutiques, expensive spa treatments and beauty procedures, monthly rent payments for her secret love nest with Connor, and a romantic vacation to Napa Valley that she'd posted about on Instagram while claiming to be at a work conference. My forensic accountant discovered that Connor had been intercepting some of my freelance consulting payments by providing clients with alternative banking information during phone conversations, claiming he was helping coordinate my business operations as a family member while actually stealing an additional $15,000 over 6 months of fraudulent redirected payments. Security footage from my downtown loft building showed Connor entering with his own key multiple times when I was traveling for client meetings or software conferences, proving he had premeditated access to steal financial documents, cryptocurrency wallet information, and client contract details that he used to execute their elaborate fraud scheme. The investigation revealed that Sophia had previous convictions for romance fraud in Colorado and Nevada, with a pattern of targeting successful men in technical fields who maintained substantial savings and investment portfolios, suggesting Connor had been recruited as her inside accomplice after she researched my family situation and identified my brother as the perfect co-conspirator. Court records from her previous cases showed similar patterns of moving in with victims, gathering financial intelligence, recruiting family members or close friends as accomplices, and executing coordinated theft schemes while maintaining romantic relationships as cover for their criminal activities. My attorney discovered that Connor and Sophia had opened joint credit cards using my personal information and forged documents, accumulating $12,400 in charges for furniture, electronics, and luxury items for their secret apartment while planning to abandon me with the debt after their wedding ceremony. Email records subpoenaed from Sophia's accounts revealed detailed discussions with Connor about my work schedule, travel plans, client meeting dates, and banking routines, indicating months of careful surveillance and planning to maximize their access to my financial resources while minimizing detection risks. Text messages between them included mockery of my trusting nature, jokes about how easy it was to manipulate me through emotional conversations, and specific strategies for extracting more money before executing their final betrayal and disappearing with my life savings and business assets. I filed comprehensive criminal charges for conspiracy, fraud, theft, and identity theft while simultaneously launching civil suits to recover all stolen funds plus damages for emotional distress, business losses, and legal expenses that would ensure they faced consequences far beyond simple reimbursement for their crimes. My attorney coordinated with prosecutors to time the arrests for maximum impact, scheduling them to occur during Connor and Sophia's impromptu wedding ceremony at the historic mansion venue that I'd paid $12,000 to reserve, ensuring their betrayal would be interrupted by handcuffs and criminal charges in front of 50 confused wedding guests who'd expected to witness a romantic celebration. The police arrived just as Connor and Sophia were exchanging vows they'd written about true love and lifelong commitment, with officers reading them their rights and placing them in handcuffs while their stunned families watched the bride and groom being led away in custody still wearing their formal wedding attire. Local news stations picked up the story because of the dramatic timing and Sophia's history of romance fraud across multiple states, with reporters describing it as one of the most elaborate wedding day arrests in recent memory while broadcasting footage of the handcuffed couple being escorted to police vehicles. The tech community in Portland, where I'd built a solid reputation through years of reliable software development and ethical business practices, learned about Connor's betrayal through professional networks and industry contacts who'd worked with both of us on various projects over the years. Connor's real estate career immediately collapsed as existing clients canceled contracts and potential customers refused to work with someone who would steal from his own family, while his brokerage firm terminated his employment to avoid association with criminal fraud charges that dominated local business news coverage. I provided detailed evidence to the Oregon Real Estate Commission documenting Connor's use of confidential financial information for personal gain, his theft of funds through fraudulent business practices, and his abuse of family relationships to commit crimes against clients and relatives, resulting in permanent revocation of his real estate license. Sophia's arrest became a viral social media sensation when her mugshot and details of the elaborate wedding day scam spread across Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, with thousands of people sharing the story and commenting on the irony of someone who'd flaunted her luxurious lifestyle being exposed as a career criminal who funded her expensive tastes through systematic theft and manipulation. Her former colleagues at the art gallery publicly distanced themselves from her reputation, while several ex-boyfriends came forward with similar stories of financial manipulation and emotional abuse that helped prosecutors build a stronger case for her pattern of criminal behavior across multiple relationships and geographic locations. Connor accepted a plea bargain after his attorney reviewed the overwhelming evidence against him, receiving 5 years in state prison plus full restitution orders for the $43,000 he'd stolen through cryptocurrency fraud, intercepted consulting payments, and unauthorized credit card charges, along with additional penalties for identity theft and conspiracy that would follow him for years after his release. Sophia initially fought the charges with an expensive legal team funded by her parents' retirement savings, but after 18 months of failed motions and mounting evidence, she was convicted on all counts and sentenced to 7 years in federal prison for her multi-state fraud operation, wire fraud, money laundering, and organized criminal enterprise spanning multiple victims across several years. Both were ordered to pay comprehensive damages exceeding $120,000, including my stolen funds, legal expenses, business losses from disrupted client relationships, emotional distress compensation, and punitive damages designed to deter future criminal activity while ensuring their financial ruin for decades to come. The civil judgments placed liens on any future assets they might acquire, garnished their prison wages, and established monitoring systems to track their financial activities for 25 years after their release to prevent them from hiding assets or avoiding their legal obligations to their victims. After serving 4 years of his sentence, Connor began making desperate phone calls and writing pathetic letters from prison, claiming the experience had transformed him into a better person who finally understood the magnitude of his betrayal and desperately needed family forgiveness to rebuild his life after release. His messages alternated between self-pity about prison conditions, elaborate apologies for his crimes, promises to spend the rest of his life making amends, and increasingly frantic pleas for me to provide character references for his parole hearings and help him find employment despite his felony record and destroyed reputation in the business community. I recorded every phone conversation where Connor detailed their fraud scheme with remarkable specificity, describing how they'd planned each theft, coordinated their lies, and celebrated their successful manipulation of my trust while spending my money on their secret apartment and romantic getaways. These recordings provided his parole officer with clear evidence that Connor was attempting to manipulate his primary victim through emotional appeals and false remorse, resulting in parole violations and additional jail time for trying to contact me against specific court orders protecting crime victims from harassment by their perpetrators. When Sophia was released after serving 6 years of her sentence, she immediately began contacting me through fake social media accounts, alternately begging for financial assistance to rebuild her life and threatening legal action when I ignored her messages, providing me with perfect documentation of her continued criminal behavior and violation of restraining orders. Her harassment campaign included creating dozens of fake profiles to circumvent social media blocks, sending threatening messages to my business clients, and attempting to interfere with my professional relationships through false accusations and defamatory posts that violated her parole conditions regarding victim contact and cyberstalking. I provided all evidence of her post-release criminal activity to her parole officer and local prosecutors, resulting in her return to federal custody for an additional 3 years while facing new charges for harassment, cyberstalking, and violation of court-ordered victim protection measures. Meanwhile, I rebuilt my life completely by expanding my software consultancy into a thriving business with 12 employees, purchasing a luxury home in the Portland Hills with panoramic city views, and eventually marrying Emma, a brilliant software engineer who earned her own substantial income developing security systems for financial institutions and shared my passion for cryptocurrency investing and technological innovation. Emma and I built our relationship on mutual respect, shared goals, and genuine partnership where both of us contributed equally to our success, traveling the world for technology conferences, collaborating on profitable software projects, and creating the kind of life that Connor and Sophia had tried to steal but could never have achieved through their own efforts and abilities.